People fear sharks and monsters, but the first animal on this list is one people trust every day. Dogs are familiar, loyal, and usually harmless, which is exactly why people lower their guard around them. Rabies, bites, and infections make the ordinary dangerous when trust replaces caution. Most dog danger comes from familiarity, so the warning signs get ignored until the situation is already serious. The next threat is even smaller, even easier to miss, and just as capable of turning a normal day into a crisis. Stinging insects look minor, but they can still kill. A single sting is usually a nuisance, but allergies, swarms, or repeated stings can turn a summer scene into an emergency fast. Fast, familiar, easy to dismiss, and dangerous precisely because nobody expects the worst case. The danger is often not the insect itself, but the reaction the body has once it has already been stung. The next animal is far bigger, far heavier, and somehow still gets underestimated at the waterline. Crocodiles are obvious predators, but people still underestimate how fast danger arrives at the waterline. They can sit nearly invisible, then move from still water to violent motion before a person understands what changed. Ambush, sudden motion, and that awful moment when the edge of the water stops feeling safe. The animal does not need a long chase. It wins by staying still until the exact second it does not. The next animal is even more surprising because people call it a gentle giant and then forget how much force it carries. Hippos look calm, but they are one of the most dangerous animals to be near. The body is massive, the mouth is enormous, and the movement is faster than most people expect from something that looks almost lazy in the water. Heavy, fast, unpredictable, and territorial in a way that can turn a safe-looking riverbank into a bad decision. People see a shape that looks slow, but the animal behaves like a boundary that has already been crossed. The next one feels almost impossible to fear until it is too late, because people respect it and still walk too close. Elephants are respected, but still underestimated in human conflict zones. A huge animal does not need to be angry for the consequences to be serious. A charge, a panic step, or a crop-raiding clash can be enough. Massive scale, sudden threat, and real-world pressure where people and wildlife share the same ground. Even a non-aggressive moment can turn into damage when the space between people and an elephant disappears too quickly. Now the list gets small enough to miss entirely, which is where the danger gets sneaky again. Scorpions are tiny, hidden, and easy to brush off. They hide in shoes, corners, and debris, which means the first warning is often the sting itself. Small body, serious consequence, and a reminder that size has nothing to do with how painful a mistake can be. Small animals stay underestimated because they do not announce themselves. They wait where people stop looking. The next threat does not even need to be seen clearly because the animal is so small and the damage is so delayed. Tsetse flies turn a small bite into a fatal disease. The insect itself barely feels like a threat, but the diseases it carries can change the story completely after the bite is already forgotten. Invisible threat, remote exposure, fatal if untreated, and exactly the kind of danger people miss because it does not look dramatic. The danger is not the buzz, the sting, or the size. It is the chain reaction that begins after the bite. The next animal is even stranger because it is usually the middleman, not the villain. Freshwater snails are not scary, but they help carry a disease that affects millions. This is the kind of threat that hides in the ecosystem itself, where the animal looks harmless and the real damage shows up much later. Harmless-looking habitat shot with a lethal consequence, which makes it one of the most underestimated links in the whole episode. People assume the danger has to look threatening, but sometimes the risk is just a quiet part of the environment. The next one is the classic fear animal that still deserves respect, even if people think they already know the whole story. Snakes are feared for good reason, but the scale is still bigger than most people realize. The problem is not just fear, it is that bites can be fast, the venom can vary, and the clock starts immediately. Strong, tense, unmistakably dangerous, and still undercounted when people assume distance is safety. Not every snake bite is a movie scene, but every second matters once the bite happens. The final stretch gets even smaller, which is exactly why the biggest overlooked threats keep winning. Ticks are small enough to disappear into clothing and skin folds. The bite can be so quiet that people notice the consequences long after the animal is gone, which is what makes the risk easy to underestimate. Tiny parasite, hidden bite, long-tail disease, and one more reason small things deserve attention. Something this small can do damage without drama, which is exactly why people miss it until symptoms show up later. The next threat is elegant on camera, but dangerous in the water. Jellyfish look soft, elegant, and almost unreal, which is exactly why people underestimate them. Some species can sting with enough force to ruin a beach day, send someone to the hospital, or make the water itself feel hostile. Beautiful-looking threat with sting damage. Something drifting with the current can still be a serious problem, even when it looks calm enough to photograph. The final animal wins because it is the one people ignore in plain sight. Mosquitoes look like background noise, but they spread some of the worst diseases on the planet. They are the final reveal because nobody notices the real threat until it is already moving, and that is exactly why they win this countdown. The deadliest animal is rarely the one people fear first. It is the one they allow to keep coming back. The deadliest animal is not the one that looks the scariest. It is the one you stop paying attention to.